Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail.
Hey, everybody, Benny says I'm live. And, I'm telling you, some days, if Benny didn't say you're live, I would be wondering about me. Am I really live? Well, yeah. Diane Brandon joining me here today. Healer, intuitive, you name it. What does it mean to be alive? What does it mean to be alive? How does that show up? Well, this is what we're going to be talking about today. The idea of being born aware can have different meaning for different people. But today, what we're going to do is we're going to be talking with all of you to think about, what does this mean? What does this mean, born aware? Does it mean that you wake up and you're aware, like, was I aware that I was born in the Bronx, New York, in St. Francis Hospital? Is that what it means? Or does aware mean that for a kid like me, I cried for the first 4 years of my life? Wonder what that was about. Could it possibly mean that there are insights from people, stories about what it means to be born aware? Now, for those of you out there, you just watched our eclipse and had us take a quick moment to just be in the presence of that. But each of us tap in to what it means to be alive today. Not just what does it mean to be alive today in our human form, but what does it mean to have the possibilities of being alive, really aware. Diane Brandon is the author of several books, Born Aware, Stories and Insights from Those Spiritually Aware Since Birth, Dream Interpretation for Beginners, Understand the Wisdom of Your Sleeping Mind. I could go on and on and on. But the point is this, when somebody is touched on the shoulder about what they are meant to do in this lifetime, the question then becomes, what the heck takes us so long before we do it? Diane, do you have an answer for that? Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Pat. Well, I think I have an answer to that because my sense is what I have seen and observed is that we come to things at the time that we're supposed to come to things. That means that all the time before we started doing what we were tapped on the shoulder to do is not wasted. Theoretically, we were learning things. We were growing. We were stretching. We were becoming more than we thought we could be. And sometimes we have to get to that point before we can do what we were tapped on the shoulder to do. It's also a function, I feel, of what we call the time externally in the world when it is important for something to be done in that context.
Oh, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that thing right there. Let's talk about that. Because somebody said to me once, and we're going to talk about this from your book, from the fabulous book, first of all, Born Aware, a fabulous book, fabulous. But this is the time for us to be talking about it. Somebody said something to me, Diana. I would like you to comment about it because, you've been on my show. You know a little bit about me. They said, yes. Pat, what the heck is taking you so long to become you? And I thought I was waiting for the eclipse today. That's what it really is. I was like, I went into a whole story. I didn't do this on Facebook Live this morning, so I just want to say to all of you, you're going to get clips of this later today, but I didn't do this on Facebook Live. So they asked me the question, like, what's taking you so long? What's taking you so long? Oh, my gosh. And I said, well, what do you mean? I said, I've been waiting for the eclipse. And they looked at me, and I had this very serious face. And I said, yeah, I was waiting for the eclipse. I couldn't do it. Not a moment before this eclipse. I had to wait, sat outside. We did the Facebook Live, had my little glasses on. Boom, I did it. Now I can become me.
I love you, Pat.
They were hanging on every word. There's a part of that I believe, in a sense. So let's talk about that.
Well,
tell me about Born Aware, right? Because I think I was born aware to become more aware every day. I think that's my born aware. I think I was born aware so that every day I can learn how to become more aware.
Well, I think for those of us who are spiritually oriented, even if we don't remember what we thought when we were born, we are oriented towards becoming more and more aware, because on a higher level, we come here to unfold and grow and become more aware, and for the roles that we play for others in the greater drama, which I go into in the book. But, going back to timing, or do you want me to tell you how I define born aware? What would you like me to say?
I want you to tell all of us, because I think we all need a little help right here in this arena.
Well, I have always remembered what I thought when I was born. I didn't have to be regressed. I didn't have to, try to reclaim those memories. That is as clear as day to me as it was then. I have never forgotten it. I remember being with God or Spirit before I came in. I was bummed to be here. I never shared that with anybody. For all I knew, everybody had memories like that. That was just my norm. And then in 2014, within the space of a few months, 2 different people shared their pre-birth memories with me. And when the first person did, I thought, oh, that makes 2 of us. When the next person did, I thought, okay, that was my tap on the shoulder. Okay, I'm being told to do something with this. So there are those of us who remember what we thought, what we perceived when we were born. And when I say born aware or spiritually aware since birth, our thoughts and perceptions were spiritual. For example, I knew that I had to be here. I didn't want to be here. I knew that I had absolute knowledge when I was on the other side. I knew I didn't have that here. Some people remember the other side before they come here. Some people know that being here is temporary, that this is not the only reality. One person in the book was quite aware of the template for his life while he was here. So that's what I mean by the born aware phenomenon, and that's different from what I call innately spiritually oriented, people who have that spiritual tug or pull at them, but they're not full-blown in the sense of the memories of the other side. And one important facet, I feel, of the born aware phenomenon has to do with the type of consciousness we're in when we're born, and that is the consciousness, the type of consciousness we have on the other side. I call it the higher soul awareness. So those of us born aware are hybrids. We are very much split between our higher soul awareness, which is like our home awareness, and our human side, which is really different, and is very narrow in perceptions and has all the emotions and the stuff and all of that.
Yeah.
So we come to things at the appropriate time in our lives. For myself, when I was born, I knew I had to be here because there was something I was supposed to do. I thought it had to do with performing. I pursued acting and singing. I loved doing it, yada, yada, yada. My spiritual intuitive work came completely out of left field. And I know, in retrospect, that it came about when it was supposed to come about.
Yeah.
This book, this material, is coming about when it's supposed to come about. And by the way, it was rejected the first time I submitted it. So it was like a year and a half later. And I realize now this is when the information is supposed to be out there, not a year and a half ago. So we all come to things at the appropriate time. And when I say appropriate time, I mean with regard to our growth and our unfolding, and also when the medium is right, meaning the external world and the time in the world. So and nothing is ever lost. I'm not going to berate myself for having pursued performing for years because it was what I was supposed to do. And you are doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing when you're supposed to be doing it. When we go to that higher level and we see that overview of the entire planet and the entire timeline, it is always perfect.
Well, what's happening right now is the eclipse, the total eclipse. What's happening right now, right this moment, as we are speaking, what's happening is light and dark are dancing. They're dancing. They're doing this beautiful, beautiful dance. Some people see the dance between the light and the dark as the, let's just say it's a ballroom dance. I see it as a Latin dance. I see it as a fiery time. And, you know, if you're watching this or you're listening, here's what we want to say to you. Yes, why is this energy affecting some people more than others? What is it about this that all of a sudden I'm paying attention to? Jefferson City, Missouri, right now in complete darkness. What is it about this life force, this energy that has people coming together? And one of the favorite things I like to say, are you ready? Looking up. You know the energy of looking up, Diane? Do you know what I mean? The energy of looking up. You know, people say to me, Pat, what is the most important thing about this eclipse? And I just talked about a lot of things on Facebook Live. But here's what I want to say to everybody. If you're watching people on TV right now, instead of watching me, which I'm hoping you are, what are they doing? They are looking up. This is the energy of looking up. That's what this is about. When we come back, we're going to talk about how does being born aware help us right now with the notion of looking up. Why is the energy of looking up one of the most powerfully spirituals, awakened energies? And what is it about children, all of us that are born? What happens to us when we look up? Well, I'm not answering any of those questions because you know why. I got Diane Brandon here. She's going to answer all of those and much more. Born Aware, when we come back, we're going to talk about that and much more. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Turn around. Every now and then I get a little bit lonely.
Transformation Talk Radio is dedicated to the education and awareness of Lyme disease.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Lyme Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Pat, joined here by
Dr. Nusheen Darvish.
Dr. Pat Basili and Dr. Nusheen Darvish will be bringing the most innovative, groundbreaking information, research, treatment innovations, and stories from those it affects every day.
I'm so excited to be talking about this.
We have so much to share.
Dr. Darvish and I are planning to do is connect the dots.
People suffering with all sorts of chronic diseases, it's time. It is time for them to transform.
Tune into Lyme Talk Radio and help keep our mission strong.
For the loyal listeners out there that have been listening to this incredible show on Lyme disease, we are not going to let you down. We're going to come through stronger and enrich the platform for Lyme disease awareness through Lyme Talk Radio. The message will continue, the conversations will become stronger, and the healing epic.
Are you looking for the perfect setting for your next workshop or retreat? At Spirit Fire Meditative Retreat Center, cultivating consciousness is what we do best. Our guests count on us to create an atmosphere that supports serenity and well-being. We lead from the heart and create space for the mind. Freshly prepared meals designed with local and organic ingredients, 95 acres of beautiful woods and pastures, and a facility built with green in mind. This is what you'll find at Spirit Fire. For more information, visit spiritfireretreatcenter.com.
Hi there, my name is Audrey Michelle, host of Rewired Life Radio and a spiritual growth coach. I talk about this all the time on my show, listening to your body and acting on intuition. What do these things even mean? Here's the thing, About 10 years ago, I figured out I was doing it all wrong. I mean, I wasn't unhappy, but was I really happy? And then life sent me a spiritual smackdown, like it does, because I wasn't listening to my best resource, my body and my intuition. I was living from a place of fear. I was stressed and I was in pain, and I seemed to be happily unhappy. Mostly I just didn't know what I didn't know. And what I didn't know was that my body and my intuition had all the tools I needed to live life as my best self. I'm sharing the tools I have learned over the last 10 years of my healing journey in my online class, Soul Awakening, beginning September 19th. Learn more. Go to audreymichelle.com/awaken. That's Audrey Michelle, spelled MICHEL.com/awaken.
Is traditional medicine not working for you? Do you still feel as if your health isn't 100%? Here at the Holistic Medical Center, Dr. Nushin Darvish and the qualified staff look through the dimensions of wellness and start a healing plan prioritized to your needs. Our physicians assess the whole you until complete health is achieved. Get the help you need by visiting drdarvish.com or call 425-451-0404.
Every now and then I fall apart. Every now and then I fall apart. Every now and then I get a little bit restless and I dream of something wise. Every now and then I get a little bit helpless and I'm lying like a child in your arms.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. Welcome back. Yes, this is an eclipse moment for those of you that are tuning us in and turning us on. You know, I think that for many of us, how do we know we've been born aware? And how does that manifest in our lives? I love this morning being able to be out in my backyard, in my front yard, and just enjoying this moment. And then something extraordinary happened. You know, as Jessica and I were doing Facebook Live, you all were listening to a show that was done almost 13 years ago, I believe it was. And one of the things I love about this is we all get to change, we all get to evolve. But what is it about looking at our lives where we find the breadcrumbs and we try to follow the breadcrumbs so we could figure that out? So when we're born aware, does that mean I take the dark sunglasses or the dark eclipse glasses off? Do you think maybe 20 years from now, when I save these solar eclipse glasses and they end up in some kind of storage unit and somebody finds them and I've got the date on them, that people will experience what we experience today? But being aware and being born aware is incredible because it invites us to the reality that we can create. Diane, before we jump ahead, can you tell folks how they can get a copy of the book Born Aware and also how they can find out more about you?
Oh, of course. The book, my new book, Born Aware, Stories and Insights from Those Spiritually Aware Since Birth, is really widely available. You can get it at your local New Age or metaphysical bookstore. You can get it at Barnes & Noble. You can get it online, Amazon, Barnes & Noble. So it is widely available. Even some libraries have it in. And you can find it on all sorts of book portals online. And I am easily findable. My website is dianebrandon.com. How easy can you get? DianeBrandon.com. Has all sorts of information on there on my work, how I work with people one-on-one classes, yada, yada, yada.
Yes. Well, let's talk about the yada, yada, yada part because I like that part. Look, Born Aware. I want to ask you about this notion of looking at our lives and struggling to even contemplate that we are aware of anything. I mean, this idea of discomfort, right? You know, what I'm talking about is going through life, feeling discomfort, and then having these moments of awareness. And you have so many stories, but let's talk about aware and let's talk about aware now in conjunction with life force energy of the universe. Okie doke.
Okie doke, okie doke. I feel that consciousness has been shifting for some time. As a matter of fact, an astrologer friend and I are going to be speaking about that at Spiritual Frontiers Fellowship in Raleigh in a couple of weeks. The one difference with the Born Awares is that, again, I go back to the higher soul awareness. You mentioned before the break looking up. While we are here on this planet in a three-dimensional human body form, and in that human little psyche and consciousness, we get so caught up in everything in our lives and our pain and our happiness and what we want. And what that means is it is like a box for our perspective. We are totally blocked in by seeing things from a human point of view, from our human personality point of view. Those of us born aware are fortunate because we have that other perspective. We have that higher perspective. We remember, most of us remember some aspects of the other side. And so I feel on this planet at the present time, we have to try to get that higher perspective because it is getting caught up in our human stuff and what we want and what we don't like in others. And I don't like your religion and I don't like your race. That is really affecting things on this planet. And we both know about the environmental degradation. We know about wildlife, etc. We need to get out of that box of our thinking. Those of us born aware know that everyone and everything is connected, and it's not a cognitive, I know this, we remember this from the other side. Everyone, everything is connected. And if we can plug into that awareness, not as a belief or a mindset, but as a knowing and connect with others, transcend all this stuff. Of course, I will say we have duality on this planet because if we didn't have duality, we wouldn't be learning and growing.
Well, come on. Would we even have an eclipse if we didn't have duality? I mean, what would we be like? Millions of people, gazillions all over the world, NASA with big telescopes. What would they be watching? How would we talk about an eclipse if we didn't have light and dark?
Yes, and that's a wonderful point. Going back to what you said, Pat, about looking up, just before I came to be ready to speak to you, I had on, I can't remember which channel on TV, for eclipse coverage live. And they mentioned one woman, I don't know where, somewhere in the West, on the West Coast, who had the spiritual experience. And that is what my wish for anybody watching the eclipse is to have a spiritual experience. It actually reminds me, when you look it up and you see the sun and moon doing this eclipse dance, it reminds me of when the first astronauts went into space, looked down at the Earth, Edgar Mitchell especially. Some of them had spiritual experiences, a spiritual epiphany. Edgar Mitchell founded Institute of Noetic Sciences because he had a spiritual awakening. You see from a higher perspective, and that's what we want to do. So we can look up and we can see the sun and moon dancing, or in our consciousness. I do this a lot of times in a meditation, exercises with clients, go up to a much higher perspective and look down at what's going on this planet. Shift the perspective. Get out of the box. That's
it's funny, right? We have so many things we relate to in our culture right now, Diane, that are of I don't even know how to explain it, out of this world variety. Let's just call it this, out of this world variety, right? And so what do I even mean? What I mean is there is an energy that is existing right now that is part of our imagination genius, right? Let's talk about that for a minute. Somebody emailed me and said, Pat, seriously, positive talk. Are you not following current events? And so I emailed them back and I wrote a letter about my life and growing up. and what the era was like that I grew up in and where I grew up. I also wrote them about a guy named called Viktor Frankl.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think that what we got going on right now in our lives and the conflict that some people think we have has anything to do with how we live our lives, then we've lost the notion of the freedom to choose. The freedom to choose how we're going to start our day and how we're going to end our day, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you about aware. You know me. I'm from New York, right? But I also live on the West Coast, and I had a spiritual awakening the minute I put my feet on the West Coast in Seattle. I was never the same. Look at here. Do you see this?
I love that.
She's gorgeous. She is today a self-portrait.
Mm-hmm.
I created her kind of unplanned. And what she has are these radiant light beams in her head. They are actually appetizer forks.
Oh, I love those. They can be iridescent.
I'm telling you, I was at a White Elephant, my buddy's house. They had these appetizer forks. I immediately knew that I was going to use them to create these, and I have 6 of them, these ideas, an expression. She is my self-portrait. She represents the dark and the light. If you look at her face, it's almost a mask. And so what I want to say, and I want to ask you about this and talk about this when we come back from break.
Sounds good.
How aware do we need to be able to choose how we go through this world? How aware do we need to be? What is it that we can create in our lives despite a Viktor Frankl concentration camp experience, despite what might be going on in the world, despite the fact that I was homeless at 17, my mother committed suicide, despite the fact that maybe you just lost your job. Honestly, I've been fired from every job I've had. That's why I'm self-employed. Let's take a short break. It took me getting fired from a few jobs to realize I need to really work for myself, Diane. Let's take a short break, everyone. When we come back, memories to guide us to our future. If you have a question, 1-800-930-2819. We'll be right back.
Every now and then I get a little bit terrified, but then I see the look in your eyes.
Known for his keen sense of humor, contagious smile, and extensive esoteric wisdom, EJ translates deep spiritual wisdom into practical advice to empower you to live your happiest, most fulfilled experience. Mystic Living Radio, Deep Spiritual Wisdom, Practical Advice with EJ, Eliyahu Jihan. This hit show delivers profound experiences for all who want to live life to their deepest desires. Tune in monthly for Mystic Living Radio. Learn more by visiting vitaltransformation.org.
Hey, did you know why they call the foundation the foundation? It's called the foundation because it completely eliminates your foundation for what you thought your reality was and creates a whole new space where you can have an entirely new reality that is foundationless. So from my point of view, they should call it the unfoundation or the foundationlessness. Either way, there's a big new global rewrite happening again because these guys cannot stop changing. There should be like a Change Anonymous that Gary and Dane go to. And it's happening April 28th to May 1st. You can find out about it at accessconsciousness.com/global foundation. It's happening in Paris. Go to Paris or do it online or find a pod near you. These are all the options you have. And what else is possible?
Are you feeling stagnant or blocked in your love life, career, health, or finances? Experiencing difficulty focusing or setting and achieving goals? Tune in to Spiritual Diagnostics Radio with psychic visionary healers Carol Dorian and Justice Welling. Discover the cause and effect of unwanted patterns in life. Tune in every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. For more information, visit spiritualdeed.com.
Disease, one of the most dreaded words in our vocabulary. Hi, I'm Mary Jane Mack. Did you know traditionally we have viewed disease as a degenerative process? Disease is better understood when we view it as dis-ease in the human body. Dis-ease means without ease. Health is not merely the absence of disease, it's when every part of the body works together effortlessly, relaxed and at ease. It's that relaxed state that lets energy flow in waves through and around the entire body. Every organ has an electrical charge, and when overcharged or undercharged, dis-ease occurs. And it is an effort to go through our day. We are able to determine the exact dis-ease of the body and design a specific solution to correct the nutritional imbalance. Contact us at 888-777-4232. That's 888-777-4232. And visit us at maryjanemack.com.
I am so very glad Diane Brandon is joining me here today. Thank you, Linda, for making this happen. What is the Born Aware phenomenon? What is it? And how many of you are thinking, well, wait a minute, if I don't have what these two are talking about, then am I left out? Am I missing? What am I missing? Am I doomed? Let's say that word. Am I doomed? Or am I duped? Right? Diane, before we talk about this, because I want to talk about this idea of born aware, being aware, and trusting that we are aware and what the heck to do with it. Again, please tell folks how they can find out more about you.
Oh, easily. My website is dianebrandon.com, DianeBrandon. It has a listing of all the books and what I do and how to make an appointment with me and all of the above.
So let's kind of talk about a couple things that we were touching upon before the break. One of them was this idea of connecting to life force energy, which we talked about. The other was being in places of having a knowing and an awareness. The next thing, and I know I said some other things that you're going to touch upon, but the next thing is, wait a minute, I'm aware. Now I've got to do something about it. I've got to take action about it. And I said something to you like, you know what? My life did not make sense to many people when I started to pay thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars and buy airtime on a channel in Seattle and then other channels around the world. It didn't make sense to my friends. They were clear that for me, I'm supposed to be getting thousands and thousands. And by the way, when was I going to give up this hobby that I somehow started to do? Listen, we need to get some help today. And I know you can help on how to carve the pathway, the yellow brick road, whatever you want to call it, how to carve that pathway filled with trust.
That is huge, Pat. And I will say it's very important to start somewhere and take baby steps. So the first thing I would say is start with self-awareness. You remember the phrase living consciously. Observe yourself. Observe how you are in different situations. That's number one. Number two, I really feel it's important to tap into our inner knowing. I'm big on intuition. That was a book, one of my books, Intuition for Beginners. It's so important to tap into your inner knowing. Yes, I am born aware. I have that, but I am spoken to all the time. It's like there's some sort of conduit or tether or umbilical cord between God, source, and me. And it feeds me. And I am spoken to. I have little knowings and
Yeah.
nudgings. We can all have that. So that's hugely important. I think, too, as people start to wake up or plug more into spirituality and being spiritual, sometimes they want the whole enchilada at once. They want to go out and save the world. They may not know how. So it's important to also, I'm big on essence, knowing what your essence is on the inside, the real you in this lifetime, underneath all the inauthentic stuff, because that's a blueprint for who you are in this lifetime and what you are to do. Once we plug into our essence, embrace it, and we start expressing it outwardly, especially doing things that are important to us and that are meaningful and that we have a passion for. So yes, you may feel that you're being led to start a radio show.
A
just like
network.
you, Pat.
Yeah.
Yes. And not know
right
where that's going to lead, and you are in this space of trust and faith. So sometimes we don't see the whole picture. We start with a knowing, we start with an inner urging, we start with being spoken to, we start with starting to do something and trusting, I don't know where this is going to lead, but I'm going to take that first step. And even as I move forward on that, I'm going to continue to listen to how I'm guided. I may decide to revise things, change this, add that. It's an organic process. It is not a sit down, there's my goal, I'm going to move towards it full blast, irrespective of any other information coming in. It's an organic process. We are always guided. We are always led. We are always spoken to. So it's important to have that trust. I feel like we know more that we're on track when we feel ourselves lit up more and we start to have that sense of, this feels right. I know that I'm moving in the right direction. That's what I would say.
Well, one of the things that I think that I wanted to make sure we did capture here too was this notion of, wait a minute, do I trust myself enough? Do I trust the world enough? Do I trust my boss enough? Do I trust? And I would love for you to talk about this idea of being born aware. Is there a difference between some people that are born that don't think they're born aware and grow up with the notion that they're missing something, right? Like I'm missing a part of me. Mm-hmm. Or do we all have this innate aware, let's just call it genius, and we may not tap into it exactly when we think we could or should?
I feel that we all have something in our essence that makes us unique in some way, that lights us up. And sometimes we have to go through a process of discovery to find out what that is. We may not all become, quote unquote, completely aware, or you can't go back and change your awareness at birth, though I've written an article on how to try to recapture that awareness. So it's important to start where you are. Definitely, however you define spirituality.
Right.
However that works for you. Different people use different terms. Some people say guides, angels. My connection is with God.
Yeah.
So whatever that means to you, plug into it, because again, it's like a tether. It's like an umbilical cord that feeds us. So we all have something that makes us unique. One of the difficulties in trying to find our way in this external world is we look at these slots out there, and I'm talking about career. What slot can I fit myself into? And so you may start out with a slot, but even if you're in a slot that's not completely right for you, you're being given information. Even if that information is, this is not right for me. It's very difficult when you are in a situation that is not of your own creation. And I come from a family of entrepreneurs. So I was in the corporate world years ago, and even though I was promoted twice, very, very quickly, it was not in my nature to just be working for other people. So it's in some people's nature, and that's perfectly fine. So this is the part of the self-awareness, the path of self-discovery, and the connecting with whatever your spiritual belief or whatever feeds you spiritually. We will not achieve nirvana while we're on this planet. And even those of us born aware, we have this wonderful gift. We don't get a free pass.
Mm-hmm.
You come here, I don't care what your awareness is, you're going to go through difficult experiences. And what those are doing is trying to elicit growth and unfolding. And as we do that, our trust a lot of times does increase, because we realize, I came through that and I feel better now. So we're all going to get that growth. I think a lot of times people feel, well, if I become spiritual, then my life should become magically better.
Yeah.
And that's also not true. It's interesting because I have what astrologers call a difficult chart. And I've heard that a lot of people, spiritual practitioners, have difficult charts. So that all that means is there's more for us to learn from. It is not an easy path necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
Connect with other people who are going through similar things. Share things. Talk. Find people you resonate with. That's hugely important, especially as we're growing and unfolding.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of resources out there. If you look back on your life 5 years ago, 10 years ago, can you see your own growth? Can you see the things that you learned and how much better you feel now?
Yeah.
That's another little tool.
I love that we're talking about this, because one of the things I learned along the way is I got to interview Deb Engel about a year or so ago, and she wrote this book, The Only Little Prayer You Need, or something like that. And it was really this. It was this. Thank you, God. Oh my gosh. I just lost my job. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Every day I make sure that when I start my day, thank you, God, over and over and over and over again. And if you don't believe in God, maybe you believe in Goddess. Maybe you believe in higher power. Maybe you believe in universe. Maybe today the eclipse and the sun has become your new energetic force. The thing that I love about this is that we get to look back and see what we've done to grow. I want to ask you this question. I was talking with somebody who obviously took a look at my chart. I guess my birth date and everything is out there, so people do your chart thing, right? I don't even do my chart. And so one of them was saying to me, Pat, oh wait, let me put my glasses on for this, Diane, for a minute. I got to put my glasses on for this one. So they were saying to me, so Pat, you're like Jupiter's like your ruling planet, and this eclipse has to do with Jupiter and Leo, and you're going to have to deal with the dark forces of power before you can be open to Jupiter's gifts. And so I just looked at him and I said, hey, newsflash, let me just tell you, I've been dealing with the dark forces of Jupiter for all my life. So okay, you know what, like Darth Vader or something's going to show up in my life. And I think when you take the glasses off and you can see the light, we can deal with anything. I think we have the capacity to do that. What do you think? And how does the degree by which we are more aware of our own awareness and our own awakeness, how does that help us with anything that gets put in front of us?
Well, I think that absolutely gives us perspective, Pat.
Mm-hmm.
And we touched upon perspective earlier, how important it is, because we tend to get very caught up in ourselves and our stuff. I've always said pain is a magnet. If we're going through a difficult experience, difficult emotionally, we get very self-absorbed because pain pulls our attention in.
Yeah.
So it's important to really zoom out and have a sense of perspective. And I am very big on knowing your own truth. Some people may call me stubborn, but I feel it's very important to get into your own knowing and become your own authority. And that's one thing that happens when we start to develop our intuition, our inner knowing. We start to shift that yardstick for authority from outside of us to inside of us. We are all going to go through dark nights of the soul. Somebody, we have a painful relationship, or we lose somebody in our lives, or, you lose the job.
Yeah.
That is part of being here on this planet. And so we have to move through it. I'm a big believer in feeling those painful feelings, but not getting stuck in them.
Right.
We will always have times when we're feeling better and times when we're feeling less positive. But I do not tell people be up and positive all the time, because number one, it's artificial, it's not genuine, and number two, it's not good for your health. Just read the research done by Institute of Heart Math. Heart rate variability is optimum for health. So you want to go through those things, and you want to feel them but not get stuck. And yes, you want to remind yourself. I'm very grateful when I look at so many people in this world who don't have clean water, who don't have enough food to eat. So it's a matter of balance. It's a matter of not telling yourself, I'm going to be up and positive all the time, or I'm going to be grateful all the time, or I'm going to be totally wallowing in my mire.
This is why I like the whole thank you, God thing, because first of all, it acknowledges the thing, right? Mm-hmm. And we know this, and you just touched upon some of the studies. Somewhere along the line, somebody said, if we enter a mode of denial, we'll be much better off than facing the thing. Somebody said that. I'm not quite sure who said that.
Yes.
But I think somebody said that.
Mm-hmm.
And so we move along, and we know it's happening. We feel it, but we completely reject it. We tell ourselves we're stronger than that. And so for me, this notion of thank you, God, thank you, Goddess, whatever it is, to look that thing straight in the face and say thank you. Here's what I've learned. What I've learned is somewhere at some point in time, that thing which is crushing me right now is going to be one of the greatest teachers I have. And I don't know when it's going to be, but I have to believe that. Because if I don't believe that, I don't think I'm different than any other person. I think I end down a path of hopelessness. And I think hopelessness is the toxic nature of destruction. It's the silent killer for so many people. And that's why we do the show we do. Not that we're brainwashing, or it's, can we instill a moment of hope today? What do you think?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there are so many people who have gone through extended periods of just awful, awful deprivation and who comes to mind, and some people may not even remember Sadat Sadat, who was president of Egypt,
Mm-hmm.
who had been incarcerated for
Mm-hmm.
many, many years. And when I looked at a photo of him, looked in his eyes, the depth and the awareness there. So it's very important
Mm-hmm.
to realize that even if you're struggling and you're going through something very, very difficult, there is hope. You will come out the other side.
Yeah.
And when you do, you'll be like the phoenix rising from the ashes. You'll be stronger. You will have more awareness. And so, yes, when you're this is difficult to do, when
Yeah.
you're in the midst of something really difficult and painful, yes, you can say, thank you, God. I know that this is happening so that I will emerge stronger from it. I look back on my life, I look at all the difficult lessons I had to go through, and I have evolved. I mean, I am stronger as a result. There's always going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. You may just not be able to see it, when you're enclosed in that. But also, if you seek out others who have gone through difficult experiences as well and have emerged, they can also give you hope and perhaps even some advice and tools to use. But we will emerge. We always will emerge. And that goes back to the dance between the light and the dark, which
right.
we are in the midst of. And you mentioned denial.
Yeah.
And denial is one of the biggest problems I feel we have on this planet these days. And I feel quite personally that we're in the process of getting some really major lessons in denial. But it's all part of this dance. It's all part of the way in which humanity is moving forward, even if it seems so slowly and incrementally that you can't really, go, are we really? But that's where the trust comes in. That's where the trust comes in.
And, I think we underestimate the human race. I think we underestimate our ability to be human and spiritual simultaneously. And I think that so often we want to change one for the other as opposed to creating the harmony in both. And, for me, people look at duality. I try not to look at duality as much as the harmony of energies. Red and blue are great colors, aren't they? You got the red, you got the blue.
Mm-hmm.
But you put them together, and what do you have? Purple.
Purple.
So, and that is the harmony, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the dance. This is a fabulous time. First of all, let me thank you for joining me here today. Thank you so much for it.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you for helping all of us get a better understanding of ourselves as well. Please, one more time, how can people find out more about you? And then what's your personal message? What would you like to leave us with today?
Well, again, my website is dianebrandon.com, DianeBrandon. There is a lot of information on my website. So I would start there. I do have a dream group on Facebook, Your Dream World. And what I would like to really share with everybody who's listening is there is so much within you that you haven't even begun to tap into. So allow yourself to explore your depths, embrace your true self, your essence. Allow yourself to open up and connect with every living being outside of you. Develop your potential, heal and remove any blocks, and allow yourself to unfold organically and live vibrantly and purposefully.
Wow, thank you so much, because this is the time and the age for us to stand in our yes, isn't it?
I feel that it is, and to be connecting with others and with animals and with the planet and with nature, because there's such beauty
Yeah.
And divine energy runs through everyone and everything. Always.
Beautiful. Diane, thank you so much for today. Thank you for an amazing conversation.
Thank you so much, Pat. A joy.
Well, I want to thank all of you out there for tuning us in and turning us on. And remember, today is like any other day. And the reason that it is because you're in it and you're very special. And today you get to tap into your own personal genius to create an amazing life that will create an amazing world. So please step forward in enormous freedom, exponential hope, and help another person as well as yourselves to live an amazing life. We'll see you next time.
The preceding audio was via a Skype call.